let's see if we can avoid being crossbowed. Ah, shit. Okay. How do I keep falling for this? Oh, I thought we were so close to not being crossbowed. Let's run. Ah, fuck. Damn it, I thought I could avoid it this time. Doesn't seem to be any way to avoid being crossbowed. Son of a bitch. Oh, we're about to like pass out, but we're in the open clearing. Oh. Can we at least get to the rocks before we pass out? Okay. Oh, this is not good. What do we do? I haven't tried eating these red berries yet. Let's see what happens. Horribly bitter. I couldn't manage any more than a handful. After a few minutes of eating them, I began to feel uneasy. Okay, so now we know. Blue, totally cool. Red, poison. I shook my head trying to get it to stop. Bright blue shapes exploded into my vision. I fell backwards. Fuck. I couldn't get up. The entire universe seemed to be swirling around me like I was in a snow globe. I tried to gently lie down as the pain started. My stomach, all my guts were on fire. I was barely aware of myself anymore as I writhed and moaned on the ground. My heart was fluttering. Am I gonna die here? Like this? The pain and dancing shapes were a torture I could never have even imagined. I curled up on the cold ground. The blurry, spinning forest was going to swallow me. I tried to swallow myself, but my throat was too dry. I give up. I laid there for a long time. About an hour later, I noticed I was able to swallow normally. I groaned and tried to sit up. It was going away. Nothing was spinning anymore. I let out a sigh of relief. I got back to my feet with some effort. Somehow I felt exhausted from the ordeal. I shook my head one last time, and then I threw the remaining red berries as hard as I could. I thought for sure we were gonna die. I was so sure we were, we're a little cuckoo banana pants, but we're alive. What did that say? I swear it said something other than this. I searched the rocky area near the water for something useful. Nothing much has changed since I got here. A pile of leaves caught my eye. Something about it bothered me. I looked around it. I don't think this was here before. I crouched near the leaves and lifted a few of them. Fuck! It's a damn bear trap! I nearly fell backwards, glad I hadn't set it off. I took a moment to calm down. Okay, I have to disarm this. I look around and easily find a large branch. I gulped and moved the branch over the trap. Please don't be too loud. I squeezed my eyes shut and brought the branch down on the trap's center plate. Instantly, the crack of splintering wood rang out, and I felt the jerk of the wood in my hands. My hands felt clammy. It was hard not to imagine what that would have been like on my leg. I shook my head and dropped the branch. Now that the trap wasn't a danger, I wondered if I could possibly use it. Although, it looks really heavy. Dragging it around would be difficult. What would we use it for, though? To set up like our own trap? I mean, our energy's pretty high. Let's take it. This is just too good of an opportunity. If I can figure out how to set this, I could really turn the tables. Hell yeah! I grabbed the large metal device and lifted it over my backpack. I grunted. It must be at least 30 pounds. This better be worth it. Okay, so where do we want to set this? Maybe near the cabin? Let's go to the cabin. If I can set this, I swung the trap off my back and onto the ground with a dull thud. Whew, that thing is really heavy. I looked over the device. To get it open again, I guess I just need to press these side spring things down. I stepped on one side of the trap. To my surprise, I barely pushed it down at all. I put all of my weight on it. It moved down a bit, but sprung back up. There's no way I can press both sides down and pull it open. I struggled with it for another few minutes before giving up. There must be something about this thing that I'm missing. I let out a defeated sigh and swung the trap back over my shoulder. Damn. Oh, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. It did say something else. The beast will tear your flesh from your body. What the fuck? That's fucked. Okay. What are we missing for the trap? Is this because our sanity is so low? Oh my god. Oh, I hate it. Oh, I think we're about to die. My vision wavered. I tried to move, but I couldn't. I collapsed to the ground. I didn't have the energy to move on. I struggled for a moment longer, then passed out. I slowly opened my eyes. Blood. I wheezed and tried to push myself up. My shaking arms wouldn't cooperate. Part of me felt like I should be panicking, but I was too exhausted. The sound of leaves rustling was a strange lullaby. It was cold, but my pain was fading. I struggled to breathe for a while, just listening to the life around me. My blood seeped into the ground. Then I closed my eyes. So I need to fucking figure out how in the hell to not get crossbowed, because I stayed in the woods for a while, like a full day, still got crossbowed. I went over to the rocks, still got crossbowed. Stay in the clearing, got crossbowed. Tried to jump through all of them as much as I could, still got crossbowed. So is it inevitable? Like, is that just a constant? We're gonna leave the red berries and we're just gonna have the blueberries. Yeah, the blueberries seem like a safe option. Okay. Go to the clearing and the rocks. Make a fire. Warm up a little bit. Okay, this is the first full day. We've avoided the crossbow. I'm hoping this will continue. I want it to be light. Here we go. Let's get some fish. The sound of the fire crackling seemed to be a bit hypnotic. I stared into the flames as my muscles relaxed from a tension I didn't realize I had. For a moment, I could imagine I was just camping, that everything was okay. It made it easy to nearly miss the crack that came from behind me. I couldn't turn around in time to see the large hands that knocked me to the ground. The force and weight behind his tackle left me unable to take in a breath. I tried in vain to take in a single gulp of air. I stared into the embers of the fire only inches from my face. What were you thinking? He pressed on the back of my neck, though it meant little since I couldn't even move my chest. You should have known better. I could see the smoke from the other side of the valley, I bet. I replied with a rasping inhale, just barely managing to finally take in some air. I could feel his hand wrap around the back of my head. He pushed my face, grinding in the dirt closer to the embers. The intense heat became blistering and I panicked. I squirmed with all the adrenaline I could muster. I tried to move my arms, legs, a kick, an elbow, anything. He was too heavy. I writhed under him, not even able to fully scream. He seemed to enjoy the sound of my hoarse, panicked cry. I could feel my skin burning. Suddenly, to my relief, my head was pulled up and away from the coals. His fist in my hair and the painful position were nothing compared to the cool air replacing the fire. My comfort drained as he whispered next to my ear, "Fun's over." I stared into the trees as I felt the blade drag slowly across my throat. I retched and felt the air and blood pour from my neck instead. I fell to the ground. Okay, so don't have the fire for the whole day. Maybe fire's just a nighttime thing. Just trying to live my life, man. I stayed still and silent. I wasn't in a position to fight and there was nothing to say. He flashed a small grin. "So, how's the leg holding up?" Fuck off with the leg. Oh. Let's make a tourniquet. I'm not going to last much longer like this. I have to do something. I pulled out the small knife from my bag and looked at my clothing. It's already so cold, but I'm losing too much blood. I started cutting some fabric from the bottom of my shirt. Once I had a couple strips, I began to tie them above the wounds on my arm and leg. I winced in pain. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I wasn't here. I steeled myself and tied the knots tight. This should help me last a little longer. That's good, at least. Oh, so we were gonna have some freaky shit start happening soon. He was chasing me. I ran through the trees. The hollow thud of my feet on rotting ground echoed my heartbeat. Wind and branches clawed at my body, desperately clinging tighter and tighter as I ran with more desperation, my footfalls increasing pace with a terror bubbling up, threatening to choke me. Then suddenly, I spilled out into the open. I gasped and sucked in a breath. I filled myself with a damp and gentle decay. It was warm and welcome. A gravity pulls my attention to the water. Black water. The inky surface was as still as the night around me. Something pulled me. I stepped forward into the water. I wandered forward, deeper, beckoned. As I slid deeper, my legs brushed against roots, claws, bones. "Hello, sir. So you've started to wander." I couldn't move. A deep sense of dread filled me to the core. Hunter's prey. This place and time will define you. I'll be waiting. The fuck was that? I woke up and rubbed my eyes. Then I looked up at the sky. It was striking. I've never seen the stars so clearly. It was beautiful and unsettling. I had the strangest sense of butterflies in my stomach. For a split second, I felt like I could fall up, away from the earth. As soon as it came, it passed. I stared up at the stars. Tight. Okay. I guess let's put out the fire. Still too dark to really... The fuck was that? So I guess we'll wait here until we inevitably die. Fuck. Ooh, no. Oh, God. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna figure this out. I will figure this out. How do I not get crossbowed? Ah! I stopped in the trees. I pulled out my map and looked at it. It's hard to tell where I am in here, but it really looks like there's a direction I haven't gone. I looked towards the north. The brush got a lot thicker. It might be hard to get through, but that means it's harder for him too. It might be worth it. You know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Let's get in there and see what kind of shenanigans we can get into. I have to try it. I put away my map and walked forward, fighting through the growth. After struggling through the thickest part of the brush, I came to a clearing. Not a clearing. Some kind of pond or swamp. It seemed strange that the water wasn't frozen in this cold. I looked back towards the trees before taking out my map. I better mark this place down. I put away my map and looked out at the still water. It was completely silent here. Oh, is this where that thing was in our dream? I searched the area near the water. The dying and dead foliage around the shore gave off an earthy smell. The water is too still. Every time I looked toward the swamp, I got an urge to walk in. There's something wrong with this place. Yikes. Can we look around? How about in the daytime? Okay. Oh no. I was trying to get back to the rocks so that I could make a fire. I think I'm about to die. I couldn't move my legs anymore. I finally felt warm. Maybe too warm even, but I'm too tired to take my clothes off. I lay down on the ground. I'll just rest and everything will be fine. I closed my eyes, just for a few minutes. I'm figuring it out. Okay, so I went fishing, caught a fish, and then so let's figure out what horrible manner we're going to die this time. Clouds again. I found myself staring up at the cold gray sky. I could scream, but no one would hear me. No one who would understand or care. It felt as though sounds were just swallowed up into the soft, colorless void. I've never heard such a silence. I've never felt so alone. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine. I looked carefully around the tall grasses of the meadow. By the rotting remains of a tree trunk, I spotted something white. I looked more closely, brushing away the dirt and decaying leaves. Bones. It seemed like most of the skeleton was missing, but from what I could see, it looked like a deer. I remembered the creature from my dream. Maybe these can help me. I gathered a couple of the most intact bones and put them in my backpack. We're crazy. Okay, let's go to the rocks. Oh, fuck. Okay, not the rocks. Okay. We have like no energy, but I'm really hesitant to light a fire. Because it's still daylight. Okay, we passed out, but we didn't die. And that's all that matters. Okay, so we're in the swamp. Nighttime. Night swamp. I approached the dark water again. The same sense of dread from my nightmare began to rise in me. I gulped down my fear and stepped closer to the water. Trying not to get wet, I peered into it. Then I jumped back. Bones. It really is full of bones. I love that. Thank you so much. Yay. Out the fire. We should be plenty warm. We are very hungry. I wonder if I can use the bones for the bear trap, because we were missing a part of the bear trap, but we did not have these bones. So let's try that. Okay, let's put out that bad boy. Deeper into the woods. Did we pass out? As I slept, the cold crept into my body. I never felt the ice crystals form in my blood. I never felt the frost creep over my skin and into my eyes. And I never woke up. Okay, I'm hoping it's late enough that I could start a fire. Nope. Sure wasn't. Okay, so I'm trying to make a fire at the cabin because I'm like, he's not gonna be at the cabin. He's gonna be out hunting me, so I'm okay here. And then I look down at my flint. Now there's an idea. I'm going to die here, but I don't have to go down alone. There are dry twigs everywhere. I got up close to the cabin. I struck the flint. It only took a couple tries. My heart was pounding. It spread surprisingly quickly. 1 minute, it was flickering flame. The next, a towering inferno engulfing the front of the cabin. I could feel the heat, and I took a few steps back and froze. Behind me. His thick arm was around my throat before I could turn around. My feet left the ground briefly from the force of it. I grasped at his elbow and tried to yell. I couldn't get much sound out. You! He was growling in my ear. Oops, did I burn your cabin down? My bad, dude. Think you're clever, huh? The arm around my neck tightened. A strange twinge of pain told me that if he chokes me any harder, my neck will snap. Stop. My plea was ignored as he lifted my now limp body. I heard the explosion of something inside the cabin and watched the flames tower higher. I felt another pop, but this time it wasn't the fire. I could no longer feel anything. Yet the fire danced, and I smiled. As I blacked out, I can hear him roaring in anger. The satisfied grin stayed on my face. Heh. Heh. Heh heh heh. Burned your cabin down, bitch. Branches clawed at me as I walked. Then the trees opened up. Huh? The clearing? I must have gotten turned around. So I keep trying to go to like a certain place and then end up in completely the wrong place. Uh-oh. I walked into the cabin and I have no energy. I didn't realize that I had no energy, and we're about to make some bad decisions. I looked around the cabin and easily found a large bed. A real bed. I crawled onto the soft surface. Like the rest of the furniture, it was covered in furs. Who cares anymore? It's just as dangerous anywhere else. I might as well be comfortable. I curled up on the blankets and furs and immediately dozed off. Yep, there we go. As I felt my body gently swaying, for a moment I was lost in time, living in the memory of being almost entirely asleep as a parent carried me off to my own bed. No, this isn't right. Hey, buddy. I jolted awake, going stiff at the face of the man holding me. Good morning, Goldilocks. He chuckled, though I suppose it's more evening than morning. This can't be real. I squirmed for a moment, and his grip immediately went from gentle to crushing. Hey, not so fast. You're all out of run anyway. A calloused hand squeezed my arm. I can feel you've gone all soft. How's he holding me so tightly? It felt like my bones were grinding together. I wheezed in pain. Then I realized he'd carried me outside. Where? Ugh. I yelped as his arms opened up and I was dropped to the hard ground. Before I could scramble to my feet, he grabbed the back of my coat and dragged the upper half of my body onto a large stump. He held my chest down. I suddenly felt strangely overwhelmed by my senses. The strong arm pinning me to the stump, the smell of cut lumber, the painful surface of the marked up, jagged wood, movement in the corner of my eye. Was that? Please no. Don't worry, I'll do you quick. Thanks, pal. His boot replaced his hand on my back. The voice of defeat told me not to squirm anymore. I clenched my teeth and bared the back of my neck. I heard the dull thump and felt the force of the axe, but I didn't feel any pain. For one horrifying, dizzying moment, I could feel the world spinning without my body, and then nothing. That is now the second time we've been decapitated. I'm sensing a theme here. The theme is that they hate me. Okay, we're in the cabin now. We have energy. So let's see if we can put this bear trap in here. Although I don't have the bones, so I'm hoping there's something in here that we can... Because there's tons of bones everywhere. I spotted a clamp on the table among some other metal tools. Wait, I could use that. I snatched the heavy tool. It's a bit rusty, but it's the perfect size. I swung the trap down off my back and laid it on the floor. I licked my lips in concentration and positioned the screw clamp around one of the springs. It took some effort to twist the screw, but I managed to actually push the spring down. Halfway there, I looked on the table for something to keep the spring closed and spotted a C-shaped metal holder. It was the same rusty metal as the clamp. This must be what these tools are for. I placed the holder on the spring and got to work on the other side. I sweated with effort and nervously listened for footsteps. I'm so close now. There. Whew! I wiped my forehead and looked down at my handiwork. The savage-looking trap was set once again. Who even sells this shit? It must be illegal. I shook my head and got back to the task at hand. I needed a plan. I scanned the floor of the cabin for a good spot. Oh? I grinned at the large fur on the floor. Easy. I dragged the heavy trap over carefully and covered it gingerly with the skin. It's not as obvious anymore, but I still need him distracted. I gulped. The best bait would be me. Oh, fuck. So we're just gonna stay here until he comes in? I wanted to just leave the trap, but this would be the only way I could make sure he wouldn't see it. I steadied my nerves and took my position in the corner of the room. If he's looking at me, he won't see it. And if this doesn't work, I'll be dead eventually anyway. It really is the only way. Oh, fuck. I clenched my teeth and waited. I was weary and terrified, but I stayed alert. It felt like hours. Until finally, I heard a rustling next to the door. Adrenaline flooded my body. This is it. A door creaked open, and there he was. What's up, Mason? Get ready to get fucking wrecked. He looked surprised for a moment before gaining his composure. You came right to me, huh? I needed to do something. I pulled out my little knife and got into a fighting stance. With my little knife. I like this. He pulled out his own knife. It wasn't much larger than mine. You're shaking like a leaf. I gritted my teeth and held my stance. Come on, just a little closer. Come on, buddy. You scared? I made a partial lunge forward. That was enough. He came at me quickly. Ha! 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 The bear was caught in the bear trap. Ha ha. I was frozen for a moment. It worked, although now he was between me and the door. Sounds like we've got to stab him in the face. He dropped his knife. Fuck yeah. A shaky smirk crossed my lips. At the same time, a spark of fear showed in his eyes. He was practically growling, like a cornered animal. Yeah. I climbed over the chair just out of his reach and got behind him. He awkwardly tried to turn to face me, but he froze when he felt my blade on his throat. I gripped his hair and pulled his head back. Any last words, bitch? Something inside me was roaring. Maybe it was the adrenaline. Maybe I'd just been through too much. I looked into his eyes. Fun's over. Yeah. With one overly harsh movement, I brought the blade through his neck. We probably should have asked him how to get out of here first, to be like, hey, I'll let you out of this bear trap if you tell me how you get up into these mountains. Do you have a car or something? Because we've searched around the cabin. There's no car. So does he just stay in this cabin until winter is over and then walk? I don't understand. Just a little bit of foresight. Come on. The gash was enormous and immediately poured blood out and onto the cabin floor. The grisly sight didn't bother me at all. Rather, I felt a rush. I felt high. Is this why he does all of this? I wiped my blade on his motionless coat. After I made my kill, it was relatively easy to search the place at my leisure. I patched myself up and kept looking. I eventually found keys, a compass, and some crude notes about a stashed Jeep. It's a good thing he wrote notes about it. He kept it covered far from the cabin. As I drove back to civilization, I felt like I was watching someone else. It was surreal. I was really going to go home. But I suppose I'll never be the same again. It only took 14 kajillion deaths, but we made it out. However, I am very curious as to what those bones are for, because I did not use them for anything. So, back into the hellscape we go. Okay, so we have the bones. We have the deer bones, and we obviously didn't need them for the bear trap. She was mentioning something about the deer that we saw in our nightmare, which is in the swamp. I'm wondering if we take the bones to the swamp, if that does anything other than kill us. So I'm at the cabin. I need energy because I can't get to the swamp. Every time I try to get to the swamp, I either pass out and die, because Mason comes and finds me and crossbows me, or I am just trying to get places and I get crossbowed. There is no freaking way to do that. So I was like, maybe if I come sleep near the cabin, just go behind it and sleep. But apparently this would be crazy. I'm not sure I should stay here long. Go to sleep. I can't. Okay. So we're at the swamp. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of bones in there. Let's put more bones in there. Bones. A couple of bones I found in the meadow. I think they belong to a deer. We can offer the bones to the swamp monster. Here you go, sir. Bones. I approached the edge of the inky swamp. Maybe I've gone crazy. I looked down at the bones I was holding. But if the nightmare is real, at the very least, this will make me feel better. I dropped the bones into the water. Hey, friend. You've returned. And you brought me a gift. Of course I did. I am a great guest. Great party guest. The voice was quiet and calm, but I couldn't quite tell where it was coming from. I couldn't look away from the unreal creature in front of me. Just like my nightmare, I couldn't move. You're different, aren't you? Did it want me to respond? I slowly nodded. It seemed pleased. Maybe it's time for the beast to meet his end. Oh, are we gonna team up? Be an amazing duo? Yes. Let's do it. Never mind. I take it back. I don't. I don't want to be teammates. Please don't kill me. Pray. Cece. I've seen his dreams. There's a loaded gun behind the bear's skin. My eyes widened. Is this thing serious? Well, maybe we can start by not calling it a thing. This wonderful, gentleman lady, gentle they, I don't know. But it is beautiful. Let's not call it a thing. If I can just get it. Hello? Just the breeze through the trees. I shook my head. Was that even... I'll be watching. I looked around and looked for the source of the voice. Nothing but the swamp. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So we're not going to make it to the cabin right now because we have no energy and it's about to get dark. So let's go ahead and make a fire and go to sleep. And hopefully don't bleed out because it was impossible for me to not get crossbowed at this point before I made it to the swamp. So let's try to shoot this bitch before we bleed out. It's what our bestie wants for us. Oh, god damn it. No. Oh, god dang it. Ah, damn it. Ugh. Freaking stop. My god. Stop touching. I hate flies. God damn it! How much food do I have in my goddamn inventory? Well, joke's on that stupid bear because since I had to redo it, I didn't get crossbowed this time. It's just witchcraft because I literally ran through it about 15 times just trying to get to the stupid swamp without being crossbowed, and I don't know. No! Damn it! Son of a bitch. Okay, let's get this bitch's gun. I remember what that voice from the swamp told me. I looked around the room and spotted a thick bear hide hung on the wall behind me. I tentatively grabbed it and looked behind it. I gasped. Carved in the wooden wall was a shelf just big enough to hold a Winchester rifle. A gun. I carefully grabbed it and checked. It's loaded. My heart pounded in my ears. This changes everything. I looked towards the cabin door. It looks like I'm the hunter now. Let's shoot him in his face. I decided my best bet would be to wait here where it's warm. He has to come back here sometime. The minutes stretched into hours. They seemed to last days with how tense I was. I almost jumped up when I heard those heavy footsteps approaching from outside. This is it. Oh, I gotta prepare myself in case there's QTEs, so I don't miss it like I did Derek. I aimed the rifle at the door and tried to breathe evenly. The knob rattled. Everything seemed to be moving in slow motion. Ah, stupid. Shot you. For what felt like a whole minute, we just stared at each other. Could you imagine? You shot me. Then the spell was broken and he fell to his knees. For a moment, I saw something strange. The smallest smile. Almost like he was proud. Daddy's proud of me. That felt horrible to say. I'm sorry. Or maybe I was just imagining things. He slumped to the floor and I kept the rifle on him. I fired again, just to be sure. And he didn't move. It took several more minutes for me to gain the courage to step forward and move again. He's really dead. I kicked his body. I began to breathe easily. Now I just have to get out of here. As I tried to clear my head, I heard the faintest whisper. You did well, Hunter. Thanks, bestie. Once again, I looked around in vain for the source of the voice. Then I shook my head. I won't be distracted. I searched the cabin and the body. It didn't take long to find keys and a way to get out of here. I made my way back to civilization. I made my way back to my home. I never talked about what happened to me or the man I killed. And after some time, for the most part, I managed to rest easy, aside from the odd, strange nightmare about an endless river and a voice that told me I'd come home soon. Aw, we made a friends. It helped me murder someone. Like the best kind of friends do. Honestly,